Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this chat, I'd like to talk about the difference between communism and communal ownership. Now, it's a particularly resonant issue for Black people around the world, and not just Blacks in Africa, but Blacks who've, say, been Western born for several generations. It also illustrates why, as a theory and as a series of slogans, communism has appeal to Black people. Now, not all. There's going to be outliers, obviously, but this seems to be a general rule. I rarely find it otherwise. So now I've done a lot of traveling, as I've frequently mentioned in these vids, and I've known a lot of Black people and sat alongside them. I've hired Black people and all that sort of thing. So I've got a fairly broad view of it, and I've spoken to enough people where I can get synthesize a particular perspective that I just see pretty much all the time. Blacks in Black tribes in Africa, and even in say places like the local Aborigines in Australia, for example, there was a sense of communal ownership rather than private ownership. So if somebody hit a bounty of any description, it could be they found a place that had, I don't know, a river that had lots of fish in it or something like that, or anything at all, they would share it with the tribe, or the tribe would claim communal ownership, maybe is a better way of putting it. So the idea of private ownership is something that seems to be, if not uniquely Western, certainly Western to a very large extent. So when you don't have private ownership, you don't have things like contract law and property protection laws and things like that, because it's a communal ownership is perceived as the default standard for how any sort of bounty is developed. Now, bear in mind that these are close to Stone Age societies, or certainly Bronze Age societies, maybe. So they're in the very early stages of what we would perceive technical and industrial type development. So there isn't the need, obviously, for the same amount of contract laws, as an example. There isn't the need for those sorts of things when you've got such a basic society without finished goods and industry and the like. Also, many were nomadic, so there's not a whole lot of point in having sort of a private plot of land somewhere if you're going to be traveling vast distances, say for seasonal reasons and so on. So these are some of the differences that the Black societies had, or the difference with white societies at least. So communal ownership, though, is something that, say in the United States, Blacks that were brought from Africa 300 years ago, even today, many of them still perceive communal ownership as the default standard and how things should be. So if one of their number becomes a famous athlete or a rock and roll superstar or something and makes a lot of money, it's expected, and usually happens as well, that money, those vast sums of money will be shared with, at the very least, the greater family, including second and third cousins and the like, and probably even beyond that. So this is why famous boxers, for example, Black boxers have made an absolute fortune, but they die penniless because all that money's been blown and has been wasted by wastrel relatives who haven't had to make it. So when they get the money, they run around and spend it as quickly as possible on consumer goods that they then discard when they've lost interest in them. Similar things happen in the Indigenous population of Australia, the Aborigines, where let's say one of them, an Aborigine, gets a job, say in a supermarket, for example. The tribe then views all the goods in the supermarket, they are now communal property. You work there. That bounty is therefore to be shared by everybody. So the relatives will come in expecting to get free, just walk out with free stuff, because in their perception, it's now the property of the tribe. Everything in that supermarket is now the property of the tribe because one of their member one of their members works there. So this perception of communal ownership is very strong, and something that they cling to, and they don't seem to perceive. They still now don't perceive. Well, why would you want to have private property? What's the benefit in it? And it's not necessarily a sharing thing, just communally owned. I think is just a better way of putting it. So now the difference between communism and communal ownership actually is quite broad, but just as a simple sort of set of slogans, you can see why communism and Marxism seems to attract a lot of black people across the world, not necessarily just in, say, the United States or Australia, but elsewhere. And so when black people come to the West, they see, well, look how much you've got. You've got so much here. You've got so much wealth. You're driving nice cars. You've got waterfront homes. You've got all sorts of, look at it. You've just got so many things that we don't have in Africa or elsewhere. So we've come to the West. You've invited us here. So we expect to share in this. And if we can't share in it, or you won't let us share in it, then there must be something wrong. You must have your society is badly or wrongly structured. Because if society was properly structured and everything was communally owned, then all the outcomes would be equal. We would all have fast cars, great cars. We'd all have hot blonde chicks. We'd all have waterfront property. We'd all have yachts, and so on and so forth. So they perceive this communal ownership is that you have to share. If you've got more than them, you have to share it with them, because that's what communal ownership is about. And if you don't, then there must be something wrong with society. Now, communism is slightly different, and I'll come back to that in just a moment. But talking to the black people that I've known, and they sort of suggest this or imply it at the very least. And they may be a little cautious because I might be the boss and I've given them a job or something, but they still, you've got so much, why don't you share it with me? Why can't you give me a pay rise? You make a lot of money. Why can't you let me have as much money as you have? And trying to explain things like, well, producing wealth and creating wealth and how it's shared. So the answer that comes back is, and I'm paraphrasing now, but the answer comes back is, well, if I go and the black person says, if I go and park your car in the parking lot, or if I clean your swimming pool, or if I wash your car, or if I flip the burger for the hamburger that you eat, then I've done something for you, and that's what you wanted. Now I want that waterfront property, so you have to give that to me. You go, no, it doesn't work. That the burger flipping isn't the same value. Well, why not? If we communally own everything, then it would be. Now, that's a sort of a type of communism, I guess. But when you try and explain, well, communism is that everybody works and everybody consumes, therefore everybody's work benefits everyone else. This is technically at least, or theoretically at least. And then everyone consumes, so we can apportion consumer goods based on need, rather than on, say, some sort of market-driven or marketing gimmick or whatever. So that communism is quite rigorous on everyone works, everyone consumes. Now that's where it comes unstuck with the black people. Well, I don't want to work. I want what you have, but I don't want to have to work the 80-hour a week that you do. I don't want to have to bust my ass at high school and then at college to get a top drawer degree. I want to be able to goof off at college and not get any degrees or even graduate from high school, but I still want the same as you've got. And you try and explain to somebody like that, but why can't I have what you have? I'm a human being. I'm entitled, and so in a communist system, it actually wouldn't work very well. So communal ownership is one person can make the bounty but shares with everybody. Communism is that everybody has to work and everybody consumes, so that everyone else's work benefits every other person. Well, that's again the theory of it all. But certainly the black people are saying, no, I don't want that. I don't like the idea of the work. I'm happy to consume. But you explain that communist societies don't have consumer goods as we have them in the West. So there's no capitalist societies. So there aren't the hot cars, and there aren't the bits and pieces in a classic, Soviet Russian, for example, economy. There aren't these sorts of consumer goods. So you can't lust after the fast cars because they just aren't there. goods are produced based on need, not on want or desire. So, oh no, I don't like that then. No. Let's come back to communal ownership. So they want to go to places where there's lots of rich white people, lots of stuff, and then those white people have to share the stuff with the black people who've made no contribution. They've done no work, nor are they prepared to do any work for it other than basic stuff. And certainly with the black people I've hired, they project that too. I need more money. I want to go out for dinner every night. So you have to pay me more money. You got to give me a pay rise because that's the lifestyle I want to lead. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. Well, why not? You've got a good pay. Why can't I have that? So that's the thing there. And it's quite a simplistic, if not childish, way of looking at things. But it's how the blacks are encouraged, I would argue, encouraged to embrace communism because they confuse it with communal ownership, which means someone else does the work, but they get the benefit to create the equal outcome. So that's the paradigm that I believe it's all in. Anyway, that's my take. Please leave your comments below. You've been with Tastus today, and thank you for listening.